Our judges here, Miss Malashri, Miss Saheli, Miss Harleen, and Mr. Vivek, who will be judging the final round for this debate today. Our participants for today are Team 1, Ishwari Gundi and Maithili Vishala, who will be presenting an affirmative stance for the topic. Team 2 is Rahul Prabhu and Alekhya Banerjee, who will be presenting a negative stance for today's topic, which brings me to announce the topic for today, which is the militarization of space and its transformation into a warfighting domain. Having said that, participants and judges, the floor is now yours. So we usually
Just
begin with the.
just a second, guys. Just a second. Hold on. I just need to do some. Okay, just hold on. Just give me 2 minutes.
Sure, sir.
Miss Malashri, Saheli, and Harleen, just please look at the IGCSE group WhatsApp. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can start now. Then I guess.
Thank you, sir. Just to repeat, our topic for the final round of the celestial debate today is the militarization of space and its transformation into a warfighting domain. We have two teams present with us. We have two teams present with us today. The first team is the affirmative team, which is inclusive of Ishwari and Maithili. The second team is the negative team, which is inclusive of Rahul Prabhu and Alekhya Banerjee. And we also have with us our volunteers and the organizing committee of Ignite 2021, without whose help this event wouldn't have been successful. So thank you guys again before we start. And Pratyush Myra, participants, the floor is now yours.
Since the affirmative side starts, affirmative side, you have the floor for 6 minutes. You may begin.
We cannot really hear well. Somebody is speaking. We can't hear that well.
I will just repeat what he said. The affirmative team will start with a constructive speech now, and you have the floor for 6 minutes.
Good afternoon, respective judges, fellow teammates in the opposition. My team is strongly for the motion that the militarization of space and its transformation into a warfighting domain will benefit us. Firstly, I'd like to start off by defining what exactly the militarization of space is and how it differs from the weaponization of space. To weaponize something is, of course, to use it as a device of harm or destruction. As such, anything in space can be weaponized. Rocks in space are dangerous to satellites in the same way that an anti-satellite weapon is dangerous to satellites. The current diplomatic status on creating treaties for regulations in space is being stalled by the fact that they are not exactly sure what a weapon is. Militarization, however, is the use of outer space to aid on-ground military operations, along with the developments of space equipment to aid governments in gathering intel. So in the same way, anti-satellite weapons can be used by governments to secure or defend their own countries because of a threat of a missile or things of the same category. So the militarization of space has already seen several developments over the past decades, and they have only served to increase our capabilities of self-defense and technological developments. One of the earliest examples of the militarization of space was the United States' goal to deploy several satellites to monitor the missile activity of enemy countries and shoot down missiles before they had a chance to hit. The Cold War caused space developments to accelerate due to the competitive nature of space exploration, and thus created a large array of space weapons. Satellites were continually developed throughout the mid-1900s, providing both America and Russia with intelligence about operations occurring on Earth. In tandem, anti-satellite weapons were also being developed. Anti-satellite weapons have the aim of incapacitating satellites for tactical purposes and safety purposes for that country specifically. Recent examples of anti-satellite weapons include the Indian anti-satellite test and the 2007 Chinese anti-satellite mission test. These allow countries to gain a scope of what's going on, how their people might be in danger, and by using space, it gives them a tactical advantage to keep their people safe. The use of spy satellites, similarly, has also increased over the past few decades. Space as an extension of a country's defense force only serves for the safety of its citizens. Such spy satellites monitoring the missile operations of other countries provides governments with the information that will allow them to take steps to best ensure the safety and power of their people. More than anything, the utilization of space is a very effective show of power and military advantage. It establishes space as a highly competitive field, which is arguably more important for the developments of revolutionizing space equipment. This revolutionization is obviously extremely important. Militarization of space will lead to the strengthening of space assets and ensures our longevity in space and the longevity of our innovations there. An issue plaguing space militarization inevitably is the willingness of countries to cooperate with one another. This, however, implies that governments do not know the states and impact of their own weapons. The Partial Test Ban Treaty of 1963 banned the detonation of all nuclear weapons in the atmosphere, save for those underground. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 additionally set up a foundation for international space law. The treaty emphasizes the use of space for peaceful purposes and places several restrictions on weapon launches. These restrictions include banning the launch of biological, chemical, and nuclear weapons, which ensures the safety of people in space as well, because there is the concern that commercial satellites will also be endangered in space, but the likelihood of that happening will reduce if there are more weapon restrictions. The international diplomatic effort has taken into account the possible dangers of space militarization and has worked to move in a direction where peacekeeping in space is a valid possibility. The development of space weapons works in tandem with technological developments as a whole and remains regulated by international law constantly. The militarization of space treats space as an incredibly valuable but dangerous region of exploration, and without proper equipment, it will be difficult to start innovating in the space industry, and militarization of space only pushes this innovation so that we have more of a foothold in space. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, that was great. The next team will be the negative team with their rebuttal. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Pratish, can you please reset the timer and we will continue?
Yeah, give me a minute.
Yeah. Okay, you have the floor for 5 minutes. You can start now.
Thank you. Our esteemed opposition has very carefully explained why militarization should not happen in space. They've brought up a few important treaties like the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and the Outer Space Treaty and whatnot. These treaties are the first step in a world of complete demilitarization of space. What they have essentially been arguing about by saying that these space treaties and all of these bans and all of these regulations are helping citizens and giving them safety. That is the point of the debate. We must demilitarize space in order to assure citizen safety, and the opposition supporting such previous treaties and previous regulations, which were set out with the purpose of demilitarizing space, shows that they completely support our stance. Furthermore, one of the opposition speakers has spoken about anti-satellite weapons and anti-satellite technology as a method of finding a scope for helping the citizens. That is simply not the case. Anti-satellite weaponry is a hostile tool which will always be used with hostile intentions, with the intention to destroy, to dehabitate, and to maim the opponent. Who says that such tools can't be used against civilian satellites, or can't be used, for example, the Hubble Space Telescope, or can't be used by a rogue nation to destroy one of the various satellites we need and we use for communication? We need satellites to communicate in this online format. Without satellites, this world would not function at all properly. Anti-satellite technology and anti-satellite weaponry is simply a hostile intention, and it cannot and it should not be defined as simply a peacekeeping mechanism or something to ensure the security of its citizens. Finally, the opponents had talked about the safety of their citizens of the nation, how it should be in the nation's best interest to protect its citizens by extending the scope of its military capabilities onto space. We need to look at the bigger picture. We can't talk in terms of one nation or one continent or even one species. If we manage to militarize space, if we manage to extend our arms up into the air and manage to militarize it, we are jeopardizing the safety of this world. Not of one nation, but of this world. You, me, and everything in it. I'd like to hand it over to Alekia.
Add on to what Rahul said, the opposition talked about the difference between the militarization of space and the weaponization of space, and how space is only, when we talk about militarization of space, we're only talking about using space to help protect civilians. However, this point is invalid because of the second part of the motion, which says the transformation into a warfighting domain, which clearly states using space to for war and for fighting, which contradicts your point. Thank you. Okay, the negative team can give their constructive speech now. Good morning. My name is Alekia Sengupta Banerjee, and I will be speaking. I'm so sorry. Pratish, can you please reset the timer and they can start? Yeah, you can go ahead. Good morning. My name is Alekia Sengupta Banerjee, and I will be speaking against the militarization of space and its transformation into a warfighting domain. Imagine a world where there's no trust, no cooperation, no collaboration between countries. That is exactly what's going to happen if we militarize space, if we transform it into a warfighting domain. War in space would destroy the trust and cooperation that's necessary to maintain peace in our world. There would be constant fighting because space is a very powerful tool that our entire life depends on. Our digital world, our network, everything depends on space research, satellites, etc. Using space as a weapon, as a means of warfare, can possibly destroy that and impact innocent civilians heavily. Space normally encourages us to empower and research more about new ideas. But you turn this positive into a negative if the terrorists get hold of space as a weapon. From 2002 to 2019, there have been approximately 106,120 attacks across the globe, where millions of people have died because of terrorist attacks. And if terrorists get a hold of space as a means of warfare, it will destroy all of us. Because it won't just be countries fighting in space, it will also be people. And that damage and that destruction isn't worth it. Secondly, the militarization of space will inevitably lead to a new arms race. In Jan 2007, China carried out an anti-satellite destruction test using anti-satellite weapons, which triggered the development of space into a war-fighting domain in the post-Cold War era. Today, 4 countries, US, China, Russia, and India, have space weapons. And imagine right now, countries are already building space weapons as a precaution to future space warfare. So if we do weaponize space, if we transform it into a war-fighting domain, they will lead to an arms race, and countries will be fighting to find and to develop more powerful weapons to destroy another country. And this destructive instinct, this damage that can be caused by it, is not worth it. It's not something that we should support. As a result, I would like to conclude by saying that space should be used as a domain for peaceful purposes, for the benefit of society, not for the destruction. Militarization and weaponization of space will ruin it. Thank you.
When we look at the nations with the biggest space, which have the biggest impact on space, what names come to our mind? The P5 perhaps? United States, United Kingdom, Russia, China, France. Who else? Brazil, India, Japan. Isn't it interesting that the nations with the best space programs also are the richest, also are the most powerful, have the strongest military, are the only ones which are allowed nukes, most of them? By allowing and by encouraging the militarization of space, we're simply creating a bigger power inequality between the top few and the rest of the pack. By allowing these nations to militarize space and to use it as a warfighting domain, we're simply creating a power imbalance which would have never, which of likes would never have been seen in this world so far. Hello, everyone. My name is Rahul, and I'm against the topic that we should not militarize space and use it as a warfighting domain. Power inequality. The world is already seeing so much of it today. Bigger nations like the United States are rolling out their vaccination plans as fast as possible, while on the other hand, the poorer nations are yet to receive even logistical support. Now, if we extend this into something which can impact our lives even more, weapons, what do we have? We have the United States, we have China, we have Russia, which spend the most on the military. Then we have nations like the African nations, most of Asia, a lot of South America. By allowing the most powerful nations to go to space and militarize it, we're causing more harm than good. We're essentially removing the autonomy of many of the smaller nations because of the increased tenfold threat to to themselves. Secondly, the infrastructure in space. Landsat 8 and 9 is a state-of-the-art, open-source, free public initiative taken by NASA, which gives satellite imagery and remote sensing data to everyone across the world for absolutely no cost at all. The militarization of space and the transformation into a warfighting domain risks this. Can you imagine such an incredible achievement? We can go to their website, log in, and download data from anywhere across the world within a few minutes, and be absolutely destroyed over the petty squabbles between two different nations. Think about all the other telescopes, think about all the space stations, think about the destruction of satellites, of infrastructure, of everything which humanity has accomplished over petty squabbles, over warfare, over destruction. Is that worth it? It is not. To conclude, my teammate and I had brought up some very important points in this debate. Firstly, there's a massive power inequality between those which have the best space programs and therefore will be able to militarize space the best, and all of the other nations. Secondly, the destruction of infrastructure would be a massive catastrophe for humanity and all the progress which we have done so far. Thirdly, the destruction of trust and international cooperation would be a serious setback to the international diplomacy which we have established over the last few decades. And finally, the new arms race would completely destroy humanity, similar to what the nuclear arms race would happen in the latter half of the last century. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul and Alekia. Over onto the affirmative team for their rebuttal now.
Yeah, can I start?
Yeah, just let him set the timer and you can start.
You may begin.
Yeah, so the opposition brought out some very good points, and one of the speeches they said that space is a powerful tool that our world depends on. And I would like to add by saying that using space as a means of warfare can also advance technology at a very, very fast rate. And war historically has been known to accelerate tech innovation by tenfold. And you also talked about how terrorists can get a hold of space, but I would like to say that there is very, very, very strict space regulation that is already in place, and space is still a very unknown field to us, and negotiators will most probably take terrorism into account as long as these, as previously mentioned, very strict space regulations. He also talked about how space weapons can be used as a precaution to future space warfare, but building these weapons show that countries are willing to push forward technology in order to protect themselves in space, but also on Earth. So essentially what it does is just increase defense strategies on Earth. And also, as technology advances, satellites grow increasingly in importance, and therefore advancing to targeting satellites will be in the best interest of countries who are looking to defend themselves. Commercial satellites are not the target of anti-satellite weapons. Every anti-satellite weapon needs a justified reason to be used, and these reasons and their arguments will be
reviewed over and over by treaties and by organizations that will oversee all of these things in space. And it is written in treaties. And obviously, commercial satellites will fight for the terms that protect them. And adding to diplomatic decisions, there will be so many taken. It's not as easy as you make it seem. It's not that you can just blow up weapons in space. There will be so many, there'll be long processes and diplomatic meetings that will have a great impact on how these decisions are taken.
Would your teammate like to add anything?
No.
Okay. So we're done for this round then. Volunteers, I think we all need to turn on our cameras.
Great, thank you so much, participants, volunteers, judges. This brings us to the last round of our debate for today. I'm sorry, is my screen glitching? Judges, just give me 1 second. My team is glitching. I will join from my phone. I'm so sorry for the delay, participants and judges. So as I was saying, thank you so much for participating, coming out here on a Saturday and helping us organize the debate, participate in it. And finally, Abhilasha and the Student Council for giving us an opportunity to organize this debate on our own. A very big thank you to the judges for making time for us in their busy schedules, especially with Saturday school and summatives coming up. Thank you, Vivek sir, Mala ma'am, Ms. Harleen, Mr. Haley, and also thank you for supporting us and like guiding us throughout the entire process of organization. Finally, thank you so much, participants, for being with us today and taking interest in the event and the topics that we had given you. We hope that you took a lot from this debate and could learn a lot and achieved everything you hoped you would. That finally brings me to the last point. Alekia, I know you have a question. Let me just finish off and then I'll take it. Okay, thank you so much. So, to end with, we have a video from our sponsors again, without whom this event wouldn't have been possible. And the judges can use this time to decide the winner for the final round and the event itself. And judges, I request you to send me the winner by private chat once you guys have decided, so I can make an official announcement about that as well. Judges, is that okay with everyone?
Yes, we'll send it to you.
Yeah, we'll send it to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So here's a video from our sponsors. That was a video from our sponsors. Thank you again. I think the judges require a few minutes to give us results for the final round. So if it's okay with everyone, can we wait in this team till we have the winners, and that will bring us to the end of the event. Alekhya, you had a question?
Yeah. Can we allowed to respond to the rebuttals, or is that the end of the debate?
That was the end of the debate, Alekhya. We're sorry because we're also running short on time. The closing ceremony is going to start soon, and I think everyone would want to live stream the closing ceremony. So we're sorry for that. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Also, a very big thank you to the ISC volunteers. Ishita and I couldn't have done it without your constant support, help, and also just um, your inputs on a whole. Thank you so much for being so productive and active throughout the entire process.
We'll be done in a minute, okay? Just give us a minute.
Lovely points, very well articulated by all of you, right? It's very impressive to see you guys talk like this about issues uh, like space and such issues which we normally don't really think about in our day-to-day lives, right? You guys have done good amount of research, and you have put in quite a lot of time in thinking and finding out about facts and figures which can support your points. So well done, all of you there, right? Please do take debating seriously, all of you, and in future also please jump at the opportunity to take part in such debates and events. Just to let you know that it has been an even closer this has been one of the closest debates and regarding the marks and the points. The winner is a winner by just 1 point, right? It has been so close, right? It has been so close, and I just want to say that I want to reiterate that it was a lovely debate, and it was very good listening to all of you about your ideas. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vivek, sir. Do any of the judges want to give any feedback? Anything?
I think Mr. Vivek spoke on my behalf at least. Ms. Mala and Ms. Arlene, if you would want to.
I think Mr. Vivek spoke on our behalf because, again, all I want to say is that how impressed I was with the quality of the speakers, and so it's as Mr. Vivek said, it's very, very close, very difficult. So so kudos to you all. Great work and great organization also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, judges. Okay, so for the moment we've all been waiting for, in the third round of the Celestial debate, we debated about the militarization of space and its transformation into a warfighting domain. And The winner for this round is Team 1, which was the affirmative team, Ishwari Gundi and Maithili Vashala. Congratulations, both of you. Great debating. And congratulations, Alekhya and Rahul, also for making it to the third round. We both hope, Ishita and I hope that you guys had a great time. And finally, again, thank you so much, judges and volunteers, for making up time for this event. That brings me to the end of it. Congratulations once again.
I just wanted to say that they did not just make it, they actually fought it tooth and nail. So excellently done. It's just that.
And Miss Mala, sorry, I'm interrupting. Can I ask Rahul and Alekhya also to smile a bit? You seem taken aback. It's okay. I mean,
Trust me, guys, it was just a matter of 1 mark,
Just
one point between the two of you all. It could have been anybody's.
And it's a game, and you guys played well. I mean, well done.
Extremely
well done. And Rahul, you have grown up a lot. I mean, yeah.
Rahul, you've grown up a lot.
Yeah,
Kid before now, you've grown up a lot.
is speaking better
Sahi
than
says
he
so.
used to. So, good progress, everyone. Good team spirit.
And as far as I'm concerned, tough topic, but brilliantly done. So,
Maharashi, would you think about militarization of space? No,
no,
right?
please, not on my weekend.
Like these people are thinking about stuff like that.
I know, they're brilliant. That's what I said. Okay, we have great hopes of y'all.
Okay, so if we're done, I think we can end the event. Thank you, Abhilasha, Sampreet, the tech team, for being
Sorry,
here.
please, could you just give us a minute?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.